Wadr. Promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar. Good afternoon, and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Senegalese MPs adopt the 2024 Finance Amendment Bill, indicating a rise of 680 billion CFA francs in government expenditure. The Burkinabe Transitional Assembly approves the 2025 budget with a 27% allocation to the security sector.
This year, the budget was the subject of arbitration by His Excellency the President of the State. The objective was to make sure that the budget was essentially oriented towards priorities in the sectors of agriculture, education, health, and also in the sector of industrialization.
Malian Prime Minister Ami General Maiga inaugurates the ES Confederation Square in Bamako, and Central criticizes Liberian President Bouakai for his speech allegedly encouraging corruption and impunity.
National leaders lead by example in doing those things that will enhance the culture of accountability and send strong messages to those that need to comply with relevant laws. There is no way Liberia is going to get to the level we want it to be if we do not deal with corruption.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us, and welcome to our listeners within and outside the sub-region. Today's holiday broadcast begins right here in Senegal because the Parliament on Tuesday adopted the Finance Amendment Bill presented by the Minister of Finance. Sheikh Diba presented the budgetary adjustments set out in the bill to members of the 15th legislature. These adjustments reflect the new authority's priorities for maintaining a balanced budget with a deficit of 11.6% and increased government expenditure of up to 680 billion CFA francs. Thus, not all MPs welcomed the 2024 Finance Amendment Bill. Augustine Colley has the rest of the details.
Senegalese Finance Minister Sheikh Diba told MPs that the budget revisions were motivated by several factors. These include increased spending on energy subsidies amounting to 289 billion CFA francs, flood control 8 billion CFA francs, and the organization of early preliminary elections last November estimated at 20 billion CFA francs. The rectified budget forecasts a deficit of 11.6% of GDP for 2024 upon the initial budget law. Another element taken into account by the text is the readjustment of revenues, estimated at over 4,000 billion, a drop of just over 800 billion CFA francs. Expenditure, on the other hand, has increased by more than 680 billion CFA francs. Concerning the debt burden, which was also at the heart of the discussions, the minister announced an additional provision of over 245 billion CFA francs. Sheikh Diba stressed the need to strengthen local financing and explore new options such as public-private partnerships to reduce external dependence. The Senegalese finance minister also reiterated the determination of the new Senegalese authorities to defend budget transparency. The new text adopted by the National Assembly does not meet with unanimous approval. Opposition Deputy Aissata Tall Sall has made no secret of her concern about the new text.
Augustine Colley with that report. More on budget reports in Burkina Faso. The Transitional Parliament approved the budget for 2025 on Tuesday. A large share has been allocated to the defense and security sector. The Burkinabe government also wants to make economic recovery a reality by 2025. Hence, a significant portion of the budget has been allocated to socio-economic projects. More details with Sam Kulejanko.
Burkina Faso's Transitional Legislative Assembly unanimously adopted the 2025 budget. It amounts to nearly 3,150 billion CFA francs. As in every year since the military came to power in 2022, a large part of this budget has been allocated to defense and security, with just over 27% devoted to this sector. The Burkinabe Minister of Economy said national defense remains a priority. Another priority sector is education, which has been allocated just over 28%. Since the start of the security crisis, hundreds of schools have closed and thousands of children have dropped out. the authorities want to reverse this trend. 12% of budget 2025 has been allocated to health and just over 5% to rural development. By prioritizing security, education, health, and rural development, the authorities say they want to strengthen economic and social resilience. Abubakar Nakanabo is the Burkina Minister of Economy and Finance.
This year, the budget was the subject of arbitration by His Excellency the President of the State. This is a first. The objective was to make sure that the budget was essentially oriented towards priorities. This allowed us to compress the operating charges to remove everything that is not essential defense to orient its resources towards important investments in the sectors of agriculture, education, health, and also in the sector of industrialization. So it is a choice to ensure that economic recovery is a reality in 2025.
The 2025 budget is intended as a weapon for building a prosperous, dignified, and strong Burkina Faso, concluded the Burkina Minister of Economy and Finance.
Sankule Janko reporting there. And just before we leave the Sahel region, let's take you to Mali, where the Prime Minister, General Abdoulaye Maïga, officially inaugurated the AES Square in Bamako. The place, formerly known as Place de Summit Afrique France, now serves as the AES Square, the Confederation of Sahel States, which includes Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Also, the ECOWAS Avenue has been renamed as AES Avenue. The Malian authorities have also renamed 20 other public places in the capital Bamako after national and African heroes who have left their mark in history. These include busy boulevards, avenues, and streets, as well as public schools. This is in line with the vision of the quest for sovereignty set in motion by the military in power in Central West African nation. As in Mali, many public buildings in Niger and Burkina Faso have also been renamed.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, we're live on wadr.org on Facebook. Crossing over to Liberia, the Center for Transparency and Accountability Center has reacted to a recent remark by President Joseph Boakai. The remark by Boakai, which has also sparked contention among citizens, had him calling on officials engaged in corrupt practices to at least invest their illegal wealth in developing the country. For Central, the Liberian leader, known for his anti-corruption stance, should rather discourage the act by investigating, arresting, and prosecuting wrongdoers. WADR's Grace Joshua Monrovia has the rest of the details.
We want to encourage those who want to remain corrupt and steal money that I beg the money should be used to bless our people.
President Joseph Boakai speaking at an event in his home county, Lofa. Following these controversial remarks, the executive director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability, Anansi Miamen, expressed shock describing the president's statement as endorsing corruption. Miamen claims that Boakai's statement could lead to the mismanagement of state funds by officials at a time when Liberia's eligibility for a new Millennium Challenge Cooperation Compact for hundreds of millions of dollars has just been confirmed.
Challenges around political will to deal with the culture of impunity. Challenges around national leaders leading by example in doing those things that will enhance the culture of accountability. It sends strong messages to those that meet to comply with relevant laws. There is no way Liberia is going to improve, it's going to thrive, it's going to get to the level we want it to be if we do not deal with corruption.
The Transparency International 2023 Corruption Perception Index reported that Liberia's score has declined by 7 points from 32 in 2018 to 25 in 2023, with Liberia's ranking reflecting an unattractive picture of the governance. The pervasive corruption in Liberia public sectors has a devastating consequences for ordinary citizens, with mismanagement and theft of public resources crippling essential services such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure development.
Grace Joshua in Morovia reporting there. Let's take you to Nigeria, where corruption and impunity have been blamed for the continuous suffering people in the Niger Delta region face due to environmental pollution caused by oil exploration. This is according to a United Nations report on the project called Clean Up the Niger Delta. The region, located in Nigeria's south-south, is home to the country's rich oil wells and ranks among the world's most polluted regions. The UN is therefore urging an investigation into corrupt practices, investment in sustainable cleaning technologies, and involvement of local communities in the decision-making process. Christopher Ticho reports.
The massive cleanup program launched by the United Nations in 2016 was championed by the need to preserve ecosystems and restore the livelihood of populations in the Niger Delta region. The project, planned for $1 billion, was funded by oil companies responsible for the pollution caused by decades of oil spills. However, since the flag off of this exercise, the UN reported that it quickly lost focus, blaming it on corruption, the selection of poorly qualified companies for the cleanup operations, and non-monitoring of the work. The United Nations intervention in 2021, which led to the appointment of a new head of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project, the government agency responsible for the cleanup, also failed. The United Nations, fed up with the inaction of Nigerian authorities and the persistent corruption, finally withdrew its support for the project in 2023. Today, not only does the pollution persist, but local population remain exposed to the consequences of the pollution. The spills contaminate the surface water, groundwater, ambient air, and crops. An average of 240,000 barrels of crude oil are spilled in the Niger Delta every year, mainly due to unknown causes, 20% caused by third-party activity and 17% of mechanical failure. The UN called on authorities and relevant agencies to put in place new measures to protect the people of the Niger Delta.
Christopher Ticho with that report. You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and live on wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Senegalese MPs adopt 2024 Finance Amendment Bill indicating a rise of 680 billion CFA francs in government expenditure. The Burkinabe Transitional Assembly approves 2025 budget with a 27% allocation to the security sector. Malian Prime Minister Army General Maïga inaugurates the AS Confederation Square in Bamako, and Central criticizes Liberian President Bouakai for his speech allegedly encouraging corruption and impunity. And in the news, we have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now, Christmas is a season of joy and reflection, a time to connect with loved ones and celebrate the year's journey. It is a period filled with anticipation, marked by the glow of festive lights and the promise of cherished traditions. Yet, the economic climate has added a layer of caution to this year's celebrations, prompting many to seek creative ways to preserve the spirit of the season without stretching their finances too thin. WADR's Nadiri in Accra reports.
The festive season is here, a time traditionally marked by indulgence, generosity, and celebration. From vibrant hampers to high-profile events and dream vacations, the opportunities to splurge are endless. For many, it's a chance to express gratitude and spoil loved ones and themselves after a year of hard work. But this year, the glitter of Christmas is dimmed by the reality of tough economic conditions in Ghana. At the Adabraka market in Accra, customers are left reeling from the cost of goods.
I came to the market to purchase some items. I went to buy onions, and the price was just outrageous. And I couldn't purchase what I wanted. I felt maybe yam would be better. And a tube of yam, 50 cedis to my surprise. So I couldn't buy.
For some, the season remains an opportunity to de-stress, celebrate hard work, and create lasting memories, albeit with a bit of financial prudence.
I've decided to cut down on so many things, and things that I used to do previously, taking children out, and I've stopped. And so it's going to be normal. The only difference will be that we shall go to church and come back, cook ordinary food, but going out and having fun, those are the things that I think that they will have a negative impact on my pocket. That one, no.
Traders also report sluggish sales, a stark contrast to the bustling activity of the previous years. The pinch of inflation and rising cost of living has dampened the usual holiday shopping spree.
Other years was more better than this year because the prices of things had made things to be different. The demand of stuff is lesser than that of other years.
As Ghanaians celebrate Christmas and also prepare to usher in the new year, the hope is to strike the delicate balance between indulgence and restraint, ensuring that the joy of Christmas doesn't come at the expense of January's stability. For WADR, Nadidi Teti, Accra.
More on reports on the festive season. Amid the government announcement of a petrol cut price, Nigerians are facing overwhelming challenges as transportation fares continue to soar to unprecedented levels. In this report by WADR's correspondent in Abuja, Usman Umar, this unexpected disconnect has left commuters traveling for Christmas and New Year holidays and transport operators alike reeling from financial strain with no immediate relief in sight.
This time of the year usually witnesses an increase in the number of travelers for the Christmas and New Year holidays. This situation is in 2024 different for reasons including inflation and high transportation fares. But despite the government's attempts to alleviate the burdens of rising fuel costs, the persistent hikes in transportation fares have significantly impacted daily commuters. Even the free train and bus rides announced by the government haven't helped much. These commuters at a popular motor park in Ojota, Lagos, say prices for bus and taxi services have surged.
Well, I decided to travel because I want to go and see my family.
I want to go and see my children. The money for transport is too dear. It's not times two. It's not good. The fuel too much. That's why I make us. The money for transport now, money when me bill now. I want to go find John and I to go pay more to now. It's not good. It's too dear.
The travel that we are traveling before, we have spent 2,000 naira, but now we have spent more than 5,000 naira.
Operators, on the other hand, are citing unrelenting increases in fuel prices and maintenance costs as key factors for their fare adjustments.
The fuel issue is actually biting hard. A lot of people have not been able to make it this time.
You see, because of a high price of fuel now, people are paying where people have been using at least 1,800 before. They are now spending 2,800 to transport to their own destination.
Report indicates that many individuals are now spending a substantial portion of their monthly income on transportation alone since the removal of fuel subsidy last year. President Bola Tinubu, in a maiden media chat on Monday, had justified the subsidy removal, adding that it's a necessary policy meant to help Nigeria's economy. For now, commuters will have to navigate this difficult landscape, hoping for a resolution that will ease their financial burden in the months to come. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
And just before the guest segment, let's bring you some health news. The UN Health Agency has warned of the alarming spread of mpox on the African continent, characterized by the increasing number of cases. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, the situation is worse in Uganda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, epicenter of the current outbreak. As of December 15, the deadly viral disease has been recorded in at least 20 African countries, with casualties above the 10,000 mark. Echatisu reports.
The WHO, in its latest report released on Tuesday, described the epidemiological situation of mpox in Africa as particularly worrying. The continent has to date recorded 13,769 confirmed cases of the disease in 20 countries. The Democratic Republic of Congo remains the most affected country with 9,513 confirmed cases, even though the country has seen a relative stable epidemic trend in recent weeks. The latest outbreak is characterized by the emergence and spread of a more dangerous but poorly understood variant, Clade 1b, first detected in the DRC in September 2023. Cases of the Clade 1b strain have since been reported in several countries, including Sweden and Thailand. The WHO revealed that the geographic expansion of Mpox virus clade 1b MPXV continues to be reported outside the DRC, noting that 8 countries outside Africa have detected the strain. Mpox is a viral disease caused by the monkeypox virus, which has 2 distinct strains, clade 1b and clade 2b, and can be transmitted to humans through physical contact with an infected person, contaminating materials, or infected animals. Since the current outbreak, vaccines have been donated and shipped to countries, including in West Africa, to curb the spread of the disease.
HRTSU reporting.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, let's talk this time about this forecast from the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA. It indicates that by 2050, Africa will have a population of 2.5 billion and constitute the youngest population of any continent in the world. The document goes on to say that this young population represents a precious demographic dividend which can be exploited in the form of manpower for the continent's industrial development, especially as Africa spends $60 billion each year on food imports. Our guest, Mamadou Goita, a Malian economist, says concrete mechanisms for boosting intra-African trade and investment opportunities must be enforced to fully benefit from population growth.
I think the statistics in the case of prevention indicate that this population will almost double compared to 50 years ago. As we have the trend now, the majority will be young. But it is also obvious that we have to take the statistics with a brush. The curves related to the prevention of the population are being completely destabilized in relation to a number of natural phenomena, but also the issues behind a number of data that is not controlled on a health level, and others can completely change the data. What is certain is that the African population will be a relatively young population. That we reach this size is another issue, but it poses a lot of questions in relation to the future of the continent.
And let's start with the principle that in 2050, Africa will have the youngest population in the world. So what economic potential does this youth representation have for the African continent?
So it is a potential that is important, a potential that requires a certain number of measures of support. Otherwise, we risk missing another important turn in the historical, socio-cultural, political, and especially economic evolution of our continent. It is obvious that youth is the foundation of all economic systems. Whatever the sectors we are talking about today for the economic development of the continent, I think that this youth, we need to be able to think about politics differently, because the current issues are also how we can accelerate the development process by using new technologies. There are also other tools available, and the youth are learning inadequacy with this evolution. Secondly, the workforce. Because the continent has a lot of potential in several areas, and in particular on the question of the continent that can be a provider of food for others, which also constitutes a wealth at the same time as jobs of fairly important supply business. And so it is also a potential for agricultural development, a potential for development of mineral resources that we have and that must go to other management ways. But this youth can also be an important level in the orientation of our state's economic choices.
Mamadou Goita, a Malian economist. Up next is a sports update with Sankule Janko.
Hello there, warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Remo Stars coach Daniel Ogunmonde has stepped in to manage the Super Eagles B team. He will be assisted by Rangers manager Fidelis Ikechukwu. This comes after Super Eagles caretaker coach Augustin Yogovern underwent a major medical procedure in Belgium. Augustine, who is reportedly recuperating, had previously postponed the medical procedure to focus on Super Eagles' 2025 AFCON qualifiers campaign. While he's recuperating, Daniel and his assistant have been tasked with leading the Super Eagles B team in a crucial 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN playoff against Ghana's Black Galaxies. Nigeria were held to a goalless draw against their arch-rivals in the first leg in Accra. The pair will hope to get positive results when they take on Ghana in the return leg in Uyo this week. And former Italian Serie A champions Napoli are reportedly willing to swap Nigeria international Victor Osimhen for England star Marcus Rashford. The Italian giants are believed to be huge admirers of the forward. Osimhen, who is currently on loan to Galatasaray from Napoli, is keen on joining the Premier League according to reports. Napoli were willing to only cash in their prices during the summer. However, the club hierarchy are reportedly interested in offers to swap Osimhen to sign Rashford, who has fallen out with the coach since announcing his readiness to new challenges elsewhere. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And with that, we've come to the end of the holiday special of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Mao Jujuf for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, on Facebook, WADR English Service, and stream live on WADR.org. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our flagship gender program 50-50 with Nadir Tete. To be followed at the top of the hour of 1 p.m. for the second edition of our comprehensive news edition in French Info Chefu with Demba Amaran. Remember, it's your holiday special. I'm Abdullah Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.